All right, so hello everyone. My name is Alex and I'm joined here with Shannon, and we are both part of the Kartra onboarding team. So if you are new customers, you may have met with us pretty much day to day. We meet with new customers, kind of walk them through the platform, ask them questions about what they're using it for, and teach them how to best use it for their business. With these events, again, like I said, we're just going to kind of go over Kartra pages. So to start, let's just go through a quick slide presentation, just kind of teaching you all of the important things that have to do with pages, starting with how the page builder works. Now, this will make a little more sense once I actually go into the live demonstration, but to give you guys a full overview, the page builder is broken down into 3 separate sections, and depending on what you are trying to edit, you need to make sure that you are editing that specific section. So first layer is the sections, and pages are built by combining different sections. So when you create a new page, there's a ton of templates to choose from, and all of those templates have like subsections. Maybe there's a section for a forum, maybe there's an about me section, maybe there's a testimonial section, right? And all of these different kind of pieces will build up that page. Now, each of these individual sections can be edited, so you can change things like the background, the spacing within a section, all that jazz. Now, within each section, you have your columns, and columns in the page builder are essentially letting you say how many rows and columns are within each of my sections. So it's letting you set up the structure within those individual page sections. So when you are trying to say like, oh, how do I kind of make things centered, or how do I add 2 columns to the section, you always want to make sure you are in the column mode. And again, this will make a little more sense, and I'll show you how this all looks within the page builder once I do my demonstration. And then, of course, the last layer of the page builder is the component layer, and that lets you put all of the things onto the page, like the text, the images. This is probably the layer that you're most familiar with if you just hop into the page builder and start editing things. And all of these are color coded the way they are in the page builder. So if you are ever like trying to edit something and it's orange, that means you're editing a component. If you're trying to edit something and it's this teal color, you're editing columns, and the sections will always be this Kartra blue color. Now, like I mentioned, there are over 500 templates to choose from when you go to create a page. So you don't have to be a page expert. You can just kind of go in, choose one of the pre-built templates, and start editing the templates from there. The template gallery has a bunch of different filters that you can use to search for specific templates. So if you're looking for a specific type of page, like a download page or a sign-up page, you can kind of search that way. Or if you're searching for a specific goal or field, like if you want to sell a course, there are page types designed, based off those different actions as well. Within the page builder, you also have access to Kartra AI. This is something a little newer. It was added, I believe, like around last year or maybe the year before that. But basically, it is it's AI directly within Kartra. So you can use it similar to kind of ChatGPT, where you are entering a prompt and it is going to generate text copy for you. So all you have to do is click on the text box, hit the Kartra Generate with AI button, enter your prompt, and it'll spit out a response for you pretty quickly. You don't have to, have all of your copy written. Just use the Kartra AI and start generating copy for all of your pages. And sites in Kartra, this is kind of a confusing one for a lot of beginners, because you can build pages in Kartra, but you don't have to build a site. Sites in Kartra basically allow you to connect multiple pages together. And there's kind of 2 reasons why you would do that. One is if you are building a website. So you can have like your home page, your product page, your about me page, right? All the pages associated with that website all linked together under one site in Kartra. And what that allows you to do is share global elements between them. So if you have, say you are building a website and you have a header that is going to be on every single page, you don't have to create that header every single time. You just set up a site, and then every new time you create a new page that's associated with that site, you can pull all of those global elements like the headers, footers. That way you don't have to keep recreating those things every single time. The other reason is if you're doing something like a funnel, it just helps you organize your account, because if you have a bunch of pages in your account, eventually, when you go to look for your pages, you might have to look through like 50 pages or 40 pages, right, to find what you're looking for. Or you can just quickly search based on a specific site and say, oh, here's all the pages that are associated with my specific funnel. And again, the other thing too is if any of those pages are sharing global elements, you can easily share those elements between them. So just two reasons why you would build sites in Kartra, if you're actually building a website, or if you just want to group similar pages together so that you can search for them more easily. And custom domains. So getting started, Kartra provides everyone with a free domain, but it is always going to be your username.kartra.com. So it's going to have Kartra in that URL. If you don't want to use that domain and you want to use like www.yourwebsite.com, you definitely can. You just have to connect that domain to your account. So there's a specific area in your account where you connect your domains. There's kind of obvious, unfortunately, Kartra doesn't host those domains for you, so you do need to purchase it through something like GoDaddy or Namecheap if you don't own one already, right? Just some system that lets you host domains, and then you can connect that domain. And anytime Kartra is generating a URL for you, you have the ability to customize that URL to your main domain. So just something to think about if you don't have a domain yet, or if I know some people, maybe they already have a main website outside of Kartra and they're just using Kartra for sort of ads. In that case, you don't typically need a domain. It just really depends on kind of how you want your URLs to be branded. And lastly, we have all of our support resources. So this slide presentation will be sent out to you guys if you want a copy afterwards. And it has, links to all of these training resources on the topics that we talked about here. And let me go into the actual live demonstration now so that I can show you guys a little more about all of these different things, because kind of reading it to you can give you information, but I think it'll all click once we actually go into the application itself. So now we are in Kartra, and obviously the pages section is where we are going to go to create any pages for our account. So pages, websites, something to mention, there is no limit to the amount of pages that you can create in Kartra. So I get that question a few times, like how many pages can I create? As many as you want. Now, when you're creating a new page, all you do is press this plus page button in the top right corner. And this is going to pull up the template gallery. So you're going to see all of the templates that are available. Again, there's over 500 of them. And you can search, based on, do you want to sell a course or reach a specific goal, right? Like sell a book, and it'll give you results for that. Or do you want to see all of the, checkout pages, things like that. This one has 2 filters selected, so now it's limiting to there, but you can see kind of how you can use those filters to find a specific page. Or if you want, like in this case, how I'm just going to show you how to build pages from scratch, you can select the blank page option, which just gives you a blank canvas. And we'll just name our page here 29. Okay. So you have your categories. Categories are a way to just organize your pages in your account. So you can search by specific categories, and you have your site. And this is what I was talking about, where like you're applying your page to a site, and that'll allow you to share global elements. Just to kind of show you real quick how that looks like. Say I have a website already in my account, which is maybe this fitness trainer one. If I select that, you'll see I have the option when I'm creating the page to import all of my headers, footers, custom styles, things like that immediately. And if I just select that, when I create the page, it'll automatically import those. But in this case, I'm just going to do no site, and we will hop into the page builder. And when it loads here, you'll see that you kind of have all of your widgets in the side. These are all of the things that you're going to use to edit your page. And then at the top, you have the different views of your page. So by default, you'll always have your desktop view, but you'll see how the page looks in tablet versus mobile view, and it's responsive. So if you edit something, if you're building your page in desktop view, it's automatically going to format to mobile view and vice versa. Sites, we'll kind of get into these settings a little more later. The more important one when it comes to building pages is this components. These are all of the individual page assets that you're going to put onto the actual page itself. But all right, let's go ahead and build a page from scratch. So like I said, the first thing is always going to be to add a section, because pages are built by, just combining multiple sections. So in this case, whenever you create a new section, tons more templates to choose from. So like if you were building a sales page, maybe you want to add some pricing tables to that. Or if you're creating, maybe a download page, maybe you have your download boxes available, right? You can choose all of these different templates. In our case, we're just still going to do an empty section so that I could show you how it all works, if you're just going in fresh. Now, first thing I always like to do, again, within your sections, you'll see it says drag and drop a column component. Again, within your sections, you always want to designate the structure. So how many columns and rows of content are you going to have within that section? The best way to see your columns is you have this edit columns off toggle at the top. If you select that, you'll be able to edit your individual columns. But let's drag and drop our columns in. So let's say we're just going to build a simple list building page where we want people to visit our page, fill out a form, and get access to like a free download or something, right? So I think for this, we can go over to columns in our components, go to columns, and then we can see that we're able to designate what kind of columns we want. In our case, maybe we want a headline at the top, so we'll put a column component in, and you can select this to see all of the individual columns. And then I will maybe add a 50-50 split below it for maybe 2 columns right below that headline. So we have a basic structure. We have 2 rows, 2 columns on the bottom, 1 column on top, with those specific roles kind of getting our layout all together. Now, from there, we can start adding our components to that page. So if we wanted to add something like a headline at the top, we could just add a little text box, but there's also headline content here. So let's just look through these and see if there's one we want. Maybe we should, maybe we'll do something like this that has a little icon and some text. From there, we can go down below and maybe we just want some standard text here that just has some information we can write. And then on the right-hand side, maybe we want to have a form. So you have forms in here, and all of these things you're just dragging and dropping into the page, and we can just drag and drop it here for people to sign up to get our free offer. And you'll see all of these where we pulled that form from, it was under the assets. All of these assets are things within your Kartra account. So like if you created a form in your Kartra account or a calendar or a survey, so it'll always be a placeholder first. And then to replace that placeholder, you just edit it, and then you can select the form within your account, or create the new form if you don't have the form created yet by clicking that button. But in this case, I'm just going to choose a random form that we have selected just so you can see how it looks once it's built and in the page. All right, now let's go ahead and start modifying this to make it look a little prettier. So with this headline, it looks like this headline is in a box. So we can go ahead and edit this box. But just to show you guys how boxes work, because boxes are actually great ways to edit content, let's put one down here where the form is. So before we do that, I'll just change the background color so that it's easier for you guys to see what I'm editing. So again, to change the overall background of a section, and to edit any section in general, you always have this scroll wheel on the right-hand side. If you edit that, you'll see this is section 1, and you have a few options. You can save it, you can edit the coding, or you can just edit it, which is this pencil button. And within here, we're able to change things like our background. So I'll just make it this light blue, and you can see that it's affecting the whole section background here. Now, within this form, maybe I don't want it to be on the blue background. Maybe I want the form to be a different color. So we can add a box, and boxes are great ways just to add, put content within different boxes for organizing it or making it look prettier. So we'll drag and drop box in, and you can see all the different areas where you can drop items. It'll always be before or after something. So we'll put it before our form, and then we can just drag and drop our form into that box. And now we kind of have this form in a nice box. Now, everything still kind of looks wonky, like the spacing isn't that center. And spacing is very important when it comes to building pages. So with how we edit spacing, if we are editing a box, all you do is edit the box itself and you have these padding options. This is how much space is from the edge of the box to the content inside of it. So in this case, you can see there's 25 pixels. Let's just make everything 30 so that it's consistent all the way around. Hit apply. And you can see now this content is nice and centered within the box since there's 30 pixels around each edge, kind of framing it, right? The other thing that's cool you can do with all of these things is the corners. So right now, obviously my corners are 0 and it's very square, but maybe I want more of a rounded design. So I can change all my corners to 30 or whatever, looks best for you. The higher number, the more intense the corners are going to be. Like if you put this at 100, it'll probably turn into a circle. Or if, 0 is going to be that base square. And doing all of this is, again, just changing the design of your box here. And then finally, we can just change our box color. So we'll just make this a dark blue, maybe make it a little lighter so that it's easier to read the font on the inside. And you can see I'm pulling from a specific color palette. Anytime you're editing a color, you are able to create your different palettes. So if you haven't done it yet, I highly recommend just going in here, creating your palette, naming it what your business is, your brand, and then you can just save all of your colors for future use. That way you don't have to type in the RGB every single time you are trying to put a color in. Alrighty, so we have our nice form here. This page is starting to come together. Let's go here for our text, and let me remove this headline. I'm actually not liking it that much, and you can see how easy it is to delete something. You just click on it and hit the X button. Let's just put like a more simple one that doesn't have like a box, so it's easier to edit. Awesome. Okay, now you want to change the spacing between things. So a lot of text and boxes, you'll see like, when we edited this one, you had the padding, which was the spacing within that item. But you'll also see things like margin, which is right above it. That is the space before and after that thing. So if I'm looking at this box here, how much space is above the box? How much space is below the box to the next component that I put on the page? Since there's nothing below it, you don't really, it doesn't matter too much. But if you are having like text content under this, you always want to make sure that your spacing is, consistent and nice. That way your page looks uniform. So let's just stay with our 30 pixels just so everything is kind of the same. And again, it really doesn't matter since there's nothing under it, but we'll just apply it just so that is part of our page. And we can do it for this one here because it looks like there's not that much space. And you can see if I add more space, it's going to start pushing these items down, right? Like if I want to do 60, it's going to move them down even more because I'm adding more space between this headline and all of my content below it. So let's just keep it there. And then you have your column spacing. So anytime you want to, if you're in your edit columns off, and this is something important to note, you'll see when you highlight things, it's always going to be orange. This means you are editing those components. So if edit columns off, you're editing things like the text boxes, the boxes, right? Any images that you're putting on a page, things like that. When you click edit columns off, you cannot edit things like text or images, stuff like that. You can only edit the columns themselves. And you'll see like you can only click on the columns. And what that allows you to do is set up the spacing within those individual columns. So you have your column spacing, and we'll just make it 30, and you'll see it's going to pull those columns in a little bit. You can also change the column background color, but I don't recommend this just because sometimes it can look a little wonky. Like you'll see if I change this color, it's only going to change that color within the column itself, right? And we can, revert it by making it invisible. And then you have your alignment, which is a good one. So typically you want your stuff aligned with the center. That way it'll, make things look nice. If you have two things side by side, one thing won't be at the top while one thing is, all the way at the bottom. It'll kind of center things to the center of those columns there. And we can just do that for all of our other columns. Just make sure we have our spacing set up, make sure we center align it, and then can go back here, just look at my last column and do the same. Awesome. So now that we have everything kind of set up with our columns structure, you can see like the page is really starting to come together. Maybe we want to add an image to our page. So we can go ahead and click on images and just drag and drop an image in, and let's put it below our text here. So, and when it comes to images and videos, you just drag and drop them in the page, and then you're able to replace them with your images. Something I want to show you cool with images is that we have a library of images to choose from. So you have your user gallery, which is all of the images you've uploaded to Kartra, and then you have your royalty-free images, which are all free images that we provide. So if we want to say, like, I don't know, I want a picture of the city, I can search city, and you can see a bunch of free royalty-free images come up from you to choose from. So if you're doing things like background images or just trying to add a little flair to your pages, you don't have to, have all of the image content yourself. You can just kind of choose one of these images and then apply it to your page. So if we hit this one, you can see now it is part of our page here. And like the boxes, you can change the style of the images. So if you wanted to round your corners of the image, you can. And just kind of make it all uniform with your page here. All right, now let's say we want to edit text. Something cool with the text is you can go ahead and just highlight and start, typing and changing the text how you want, or you can click on the text box and you have this generate with AI button. You click that and it'll let you enter your prompt so that you can generate text for that specific text box. I don't really have a prompt here, but let's just say write an introduction for a landing page that offers a free ebook download. Right. And you can include your AI business settings, which will pull from your account. I can show you guys where to set that up here soon. But basically, with this, you are providing the system information about your business, which it uses to write your response. Otherwise, you can leave it off. Let's just make it professional. Use Kartra AI, and it should just generate that copy for you. Welcome to our landing page where you can immediately access a free ebook download. A carefully crafted ebook offers. Obviously, it's very generic since my prompt was very generic, but you can see it just works just like ChatGPT, where you can generate the text content for your pages there. But all right, now we have our text, we have our form. We can just name our headline like free ebook download or whatever we want to call it. And then we have this text at the top where it's like, I don't know, limited time offer or something like that, right? Whatever we want to call it. And then all of these text boxes, all of the fonts can be edited. Now, with the fonts, you can save the ones that you want as favorites, and they'll appear at the top like this. So you can see all of my favorite fonts listed here at the top. Maybe we want to go Railway, or maybe we want to go Quick. It's a good one that looks good. I feel like Lado's classic. And then you can also change the text of fonts, but something to note with the text is that you do need to enter the hex code. So unlike the background images or the colors anywhere else, where you can create your palette and choose from that palette, I'm not sure why we don't have it available with the fonts. You just have to manually enter your hex codes that you want there. So just something to note. I always keep like a notepad with all of my hex codes just for easily editing the fonts within the page. But all right, now you can see we kind of have a structure going, and it looks pretty decent. Of course, you can kind of keep going from there on adding different things. Like you can change the overall background within a section if you add an image. So if we maybe we wanted to change the background image of our section to this city, you can see it does that as well. And something cool you can do with this is you can change the opacity. So see, we have our background color is this blue, and let's just make the image opacity 10. And it just blurs out the image while keeping the color on top of it. So it kind of fades it out. So you can kind of use that to change the overall background image. If your text is always blocked out because of the image, you can use a box and put the text in that box to kind of make that pop, right? There's a bunch of different tools, and it just comes down to going in, adding your different items to your page, and, just dragging and dropping them in from there. Pretty simple stuff. And so the things I want to reiterate with all of this are the spacing. Spacing is always going to make your pages look good and consistent. Pick a pixel value that you like. I'd say like 30, 40 is good, 50 between every item. And you'll see like as you combine different sections and templates, they're all going to kind of have their own unique spacing. So it's always a good idea to go in and, review the spacing, make sure everything is consistent. That always just helps your page look clean. The other thing I would iterate is your your palettes. So whenever there is a place where you can edit the background color, you're able to save your different palettes that you can easily use when you're editing pages from there. And then finally, you have easy ways to save sections. So like say we made the section, we liked it, we can hit save section as favorite. And then if we go and add a new section, you have all of the different section templates, right? But then you have all of your favorites to choose from as well. So if there's a design you like and you want to use it in a different page, you can save it and then just easily add it to another page that you are building. And that's just kind of a brief overview of the page builder. Now, when it comes to kind of putting everything in action, say we were to choose a template that we like. So say like, oh, I like this features template here. When you add it, you can kind of go through and change all the colors within the sections. So, within the section background, maybe I want to change how the color to my dark blue, right? You can also see the padding within the sections, which is something I didn't go over, but that's the space from the top of the section to when your first item is. So you can always change that. And that again, from the bottom, it's going to add more space, from here and the top down. The other things you can do is maybe we'll go in and edit our columns. So, 33, 33, 33, how it is, but maybe I want to make these sides a little smaller, right? You can pull them in or make them longer, or maybe you don't want these other ones on this side. So you can kind of, let's say we want to delete these ones and now we just have 2 columns, and then I can center them within the page, right? So just different things that you can do as you take templates and start playing around and editing them. And then, of course, you can change the spacing, the text color, all how you feel, just to make the page, custom to your branding. And then even with templates, you can take things out, drag things in, fully customizable templates for you there. Now, before I end off, I'll just kind of show you guys the different views. So within desktop to mobile view, right, we showed you the desktop view, but if somebody was visiting from their phone, this is what they would see from their perspective. I say desktop and mobile views are always the best views to look at. I feel like, you can always look at tablet view, but it's kind of that weird middle realm there. And then we have all of our different options here that are a little important. So we have sites at the top, and this is how you apply your page to a site. And if you do have your page in a site, let me just kind of show you guys how that works. So let's say this was part of our fitness trainer site. I'll assign the page, right? And then you're able to export things. So like if I had a header and a footer that I wanted to put on all the other pages in my website, I can select those. And then you can see here, apply to all pages in my site, hit apply, and it'll apply to all those pages. Or if this was a new page that I'm building, I can always go to import and then pull those items in to my page. Now, under that, you have settings. And this is, I think the important part for this are the SEO parameters. So these are all of the kind of the description of your page, right? So if somebody goes to Google or any sort of search engine and searches these meta keywords, they're going to find your page. Or if they search, find your page within a web browser, the page title that's listed here is the page that's going to, the name that's going to show up in the tab. The description is going to show up if they, on social, web browsers. All of these page will be web browser associated and just website associated. And then the page OGs are everything that is for social media. So like if you share a link to this page through social media, this is the title that'll show the description and the image, for that. You can also hide your page from search engines if you want. Typically with any sort of landing pages, you don't want to do that. But if you're making something like a download page or a success page or any sort of page where you typically don't want people to find it on a search engine, you can just click this button and it'll hide it from all search engines that way. Under SEO parameters, you have things like tracking codes. So if you are running ads and you want to see where different traffic is coming from, you can paste all of your tracking codes directly into these different sections for that. You have different tags that'll apply to people from visiting pages. And I think kind of the other big ones are the redirects. So page redirect is good if you want to send certain people away from this page for whatever reason. Say you're doing like a free download, but you only want people who signed up to get that free download. You can say redirect everyone who is not on a list or is not on a tag, and they'll be redirected to whatever other page you have. So a bunch of other just different tools for how people are landing on your page and interacting with it. You can also create pop-ups for your page based on if somebody lands on it or exits. And, you know, just gives you a pop-up builder, kind of like the page builder, where you can edit and customize it from there. So bunch of other different features that are available kind of in this sidebar. You also have this AI button, which I typically don't recommend using. This AI button is going to, if you enter a prompt in here, it's going to change the text of your entire page. So it's going to change all of the text boxes. So I typically just, like when I'm using AI, I'll just click a text box and hit the generate with AI button, just so it changes the text in that specific box. That way you're not getting, you know, maybe you have an about me section and it's giving you like a introduction text, right? You get a little more control if you're just doing it within those individual boxes. And that is pretty much it when it comes to pages. The last thing I will mention is that if you go to actions, you can preview your page, you can save your entire page as a template, but you also have your save. So this is where you're saving your progress. Always a good idea to save your pages. If you don't have the auto save on, make sure you're saving routinely so that you don't lose anything. And then you have your publish live. So saving it will save it in your account. So it'll save all the changes within your actual Kartra account. Publishing it live will make all of those changes go live on the internet. So, you know, once you publish it live, a link will be generated and people will be able to go to that page and visit it. But say your page is already live and you want to make some changes to it, you can do that and save your changes. And they say you're like working on those changes, but they're not done yet. You can save your changes without publishing it, and those changes will only be in your account, so they won't be live yet. But the second you press publish live, all of those changes are going to, you know, go live again. So that's kind of the difference between the two. Saving it is only going to save it in your account. Publishing it is going to make those changes go live. Alrighty. So time to answer your questions. I think the only other thing I would say before that, Shannon, just to kind of give some iteration on, is the settings. Down here under settings, you have domains. And this is where you can connect your web domain. So say we go to pages and we published our page live, it generated a URL. Great. So how you get that link is if your page is published, you just go click the link button and you'll see the link to that page there. Again, it'll always be your username.kartra.com by default. But if you have a domain connected, all you do is edit that URL and then you can choose it from the dropdown. So you can see I have gddemos.com selected, and then I can change the ending to, you know, whatever I want it to be. But I'm just going to keep it our default for this one. But all right, guys, yeah, what questions you got? Happy to start going in. I know there's a bunch of things to do with pages, so happy to see what y'all got for me.
Yep. Chris had one in the chat first, and then I got 3 hands raised, and I'll go in the order they were raised. So first with Chris, she asked, can you edit columns within a page template? Because I know we did the build from scratch today. Or is the template set and not changeable?
Yep, you can edit columns within a template. Now, there are certain templates where you can't. So you will come across like custom coded things. For example, like let me see if I could find one real quick. Like there are templates where like this, where like the image is the full width. Those things like that, you can't typically edit the columns of. I'm just gonna make something random, right? So like I'll go into this template builder. There are certain templates that just have custom coding that you know, the templates are built by a lot of our certified partners and things. So like a design like this, right? If I go to edit columns, I can edit the column, but it, you know, it doesn't really look that great. You know, you have going to have all this space on the side. So with any of these columns that have like a full width image, I would just recommend either keeping the full width image or, you know, you can kind of pull the image over to the side and pull your content over more so that that is reaching it and you don't have any weird space on the other side. Just kind of a thing you can do there. The other thing too is you can just remove any columns that or any sections you don't want entirely. Like I wonder if we remove this column entirely. Yeah, it still gives weird space here. So yeah, don't recommend doing that. So if you always if you have a page where you see this like side image, it's just custom coded to be the full width. You can change the image, but you can't really pull it in or remove it. I would just choose a different template design.
Yes. And then let's move on to the next question. That is going to be, we got Karina.
Yeah, Karina. You are muted. There should be.
All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, thanks for taking my question.
Mhm.
So I'm new to Kartra. I just created a sequence. I have a landing page, a thank you page, and an email with my lead magnet attached to it. I'm trying to create automation for this sequence. So how do I create the automation so that I can create the link to that landing page, send the people to the landing page that will eventually then send them to the thank you page when they give me their name and email, and send out the email automatically? Does that question make sense?
Yep, it does. So the main thing is going to be your form. The form is going to be the thing that lives on your landing page, but this is what people are filling out to basically provide you with their contact information. Now, when you are creating your form, there are the first important thing is under settings, you have your success page. And this is saying when somebody fills out this form, where are they going to? In your case, it would be your thank you page, your success page. So you would build your thank you page and make sure that you're editing your form and linking it here. This will automatically send people to your thank you page once they complete your form. Now, when it comes to adding those people to your email sequence so that they can automatically get your emails, all you need to do is build your sequence. So if we go to marketing sequences, all you have to do is build out your sequence and set your starting rule as anyone that completes your form. So you have your form built right, and your form is added to your landing page. That's how the form lives on the landing page. Within your form settings, you are setting the thank you page. So that's how people are going to your thank you page. And then how people are being added to your sequence is your starting rule within that sequence. So your starting rule will be, in this case, anyone filling out your specific form. That will automatically add them to the sequence where they'll start receiving your emails. If it's just a one-time email, maybe you just have one email sending. If it's a string of emails like this, they'll start receiving the emails from there. But it all comes down to the starting rule as to how somebody's getting into your sequence.
Okay. And then
does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how do then I activate my landing page?
So all you have to do is publish it live. So if your page is still in draft mode, it means it's not live. There's no link for it that people can visit. So you'll see here, like this page that I just made today is in draft mode. You should be able to just click it here and publish it, or you can publish it like within the page where you go to save it. You'll see the publish live button. But once you publish it, you'll get this link button. And this will be the URL of your page that you can send the people to or start sending ads to, right? And then if you have your own domain, you can change it to your own domain. Otherwise, you can just leave it the Kartra domain and just edit the ending if you want.
Okay. All right. So publish my landing page live is the first step. The second step is the success page, to automatically send my people to my thank you. And then I have to create the sequence where after people go to my thank you, in the sequence, I send them that introduction email with my lead magnet. So those are the 3 steps, right?
Yep. So the first step is, add your form. Well, create your form. And then add your form to your landing page so that when anyone going to your landing page can fill out that form. then you, set up the, what was it? So landing page. Oh yeah. Set up the, crap, I just lost my train of thought. With your form, oh yeah, set the success page as your thank you page within your form. That way, anyone filling out your form is going to the thank you page. And then when you build your sequence, set the starting rule as anyone completing your form, not visiting the thank you page. It's completing the form.
And then I can always add an additional email sequence down the road to keep warming up, right?
Yeah, when you're creating your sequences, it's always the starting rule as to how somebody's getting in that sequence. It can be any action, or you can manually add people to sequences too, just by going to their contact profile and subscribing them to a specific sequence. So there are multiple ways you can put people in a sequence.
Okay. Are you going to do another class on websites? Because I'm also building my website in Kartra.
If you're building your website, we can take any questions that you have about it here. Let's go over some other people's questions, then we'll come back to you, Karina, about your websites. All right.
Thanks.
Yeah. And real quick, Karina, I was just going to let you know too, if you're just sending one email after they fill out the form and you don't care about getting multiple after that, the only thing you would have to do to get that download added would just be adding it to your confirmation email that Alex is showing you right now. So when you go to the form settings, he showed you how you can set that success page, which is going to be your thank you page, where you can also have the download added, or you can turn on this welcome message if it's just a one-time message that's delivering that freebie. So you have the option of using this instead of setting up a full sequence as well right now. If that's the easier option, it's something you can think about doing. And then down the road, you can create that nurture sequence or whatever you want that to be by, going to your contacts, selecting everyone that filled out that form, and then adding them to that new sequence you created down the road. So those are your options as of like today when you're deciding that as well.
Right. Yep. Thank you so much, Shannon. I appreciate that. That's super helpful.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah.
The next up is Allison, I believe.
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So far, I've created a website and some landing pages, but I've done it all under page creation, not the site. And I've just connected like things from my website that go to a different landing page together. Does it make sense to go back and redo that, my website on a site? Like, would that be easier, or just leave it since I already did it?
I mean, if you already did it, it's fine, but you can, just go to manage sites, create a new site. So we'll say like, new site, and you can easily just add them all there because you're able to select all the pages that, you'll just go through, select all the pages that you want in that site and hit add. It's not going to import or share all the global elements until you manually do that by clicking, import the elements, things like that. I think it would just help with the organization because you can always go to sites and say, let me see everything associated with my consultant website and it'll pull up all these pages, right?
I feel like things are getting a little bit like disorganized since we're creating, it's like a business with other people. So like we're creating different courses and things. And so it's just, and I'm kind of the one that's creating the pages because I'm the one that knows how to do it. So it's getting confusing. Okay.
Yeah.
So go back. Okay. And then I had another question about uploading pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I've added in like our own pictures, are there certain dimensions? Because sometimes I'll upload a picture and it doesn't fit the box and it looks weird and it's hard to adjust it.
Yeah, there are not certain dimensions that we recommend. It really just comes down to kind of seeing how best the image fits in that specific box. But I know what you mean. Okay. Like if you're trying to edit a specific page and like the image is too wide, typically what I'll do is just go ahead and start resizing things to kind of show you what that looks like. I'll just edit a random page here. So say like your image on one side is too big or too small after you add it. You can go ahead and resize those image. Just wait for it to all load here. Of course, this is an image box. So let me go ahead and let me add a section to this page that has an image in it, and then I'll kind of show you what I mean by that. Say, just has a simple image. Where's when I want to find one? I don't know, something like features. And do you know, think of a good template?
No, I think that's awesome. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Just wanted to just show you real quick. But if you have an image somewhere, let's just replace this with an actual image file.
Okay.
Middle. And you can see, like, if I were to replace this with, I don't know, a wide image, or a wide image is going to look kind of weird, right? Let me just choose one that we have, and I'll show you. Like, here's a wide image. It's not like exactly centered in the page, things like that. So you can use things like the edit columns that I showed you earlier, and then edit this column and center it so that it's kind of centered in this space. Kind of makes it look a little better. The other thing is just editing the columns and the size of the image. So you have this resize option, which lets you make it bigger or smaller. Depending on how you want to do that. So if you make it smaller, I always just recommend going to the image style and centering it. That way it's centered in the page as well. And then a lot of times editing the columns will make it look bigger too. So like if we make these columns smaller, but this image bigger, it should bring out like the, size of the image a little more. So you can kind of play around with that way, but yeah, there's no way to easily see, the size of an image or easily replace it like that.
Okay. All right. That helps.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Awesome. And next we have hands raised is George.
Yeah. Based on Karina's question, to promote my landing page, I can create a sequence for that, or I just let's say I want to promote obviously in social media, etc., but with emails, 6 emails before the master class. Can I do a sequence within Kartra to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it would be like a marketing sequence, right? You could go to marketing, create your sequence, and maybe your first email is like, hey, we got this new, landing page that you can visit. So you'll just want to have your page done and built and published live so that you have a link for it. And then you can create a marketing sequence that, markets a link to that page to people. So saying like, hey, I have this new thing available, visit this page to get access or whatever you want, right? And the only thing for that is that you'll only be able to market to people that are contacts within your account, because you don't really have a starting point, right? There's no landing page or something like an ad they would go to basically provide you with their details. So you would only be marketing to people that are in your account.
My contacts, warm contacts. Okay.
Yep. And then you would probably need to manually subscribe those people to the sequence, since there wouldn't be a starting rule in that case, right? So you would just select all the people, and you can select like everyone in your account if you wanted to, but you're selecting those individuals. And then you have this 3-dot button all the way on the top right. And then this will see here, you can subscribe to a specific sequence. So you select all the people you want, subscribe them to the sequence, they'll be added, and then they'll start receiving your, promotional marketing to land on your landing page.
Great. One other question. I actually created a ticket. I finished my landing page. I started creating a form. I use a template. I finished my form. I published it. I brought it in to my landing page. I actually viewed the form before I selected it to put it on my landing page. But what happened to me, I could not publish the page. It was like minutes saying, oh, your page has been uploaded to the internet. So I took screenshots. When I started to say, okay, publish, it was 9 minutes later, I said, something's going wrong. I'm not sure if it was my internet but I tried the next day and it's doing the same thing. You think it's something that I did within the landing page?
Yeah, I think it's something that has to do with that. That's definitely something that our support team will have to take a look at, because it's not typical, right? Typically, when you publish the page, it should only take a few seconds and then tell you if it's published or, from there. So if it's going indefinitely, definitely reach out to our support team. It's probably just something wonky going on with the page itself, and they can work with you to resolve that and get it published.
Right.
But yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Any more questions, Shannon, that we have in the chat, maybe?
No, but I just wanted to mention, I don't know if I see your ticket, George. Maybe I'll just connect with you after just to make sure it's submitted. Yeah, so just a heads up. I'm going to make a note to connect with you after just to double check.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Appreciate
yeah.
it.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chris.
Hi, I just had a real quick question actually in the chat. So when you edit a page and you, we'll say you've published already and then you're editing again and you need to click publish every time you make those edits, it doesn't happen automatically, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Say your page is already published live. If you if you go in and edit the page, like say my page is published live right now, I'll publish it.
Okay.
And like say the headline is Discover Inner Peace and Spiritual Clarity, but I want to change this to Discover just Inner Peace, right? And remove the second part.
Okay.
If I hit save, this is only going to save the changes within my page builder. So like if I return to dashboard and go back to that page, whenever it loads, see here, and I edit that page again, you'll see that the Discover Inner Peace, right? It'll show that I deleted the, part that I didn't want.
Okay.
But if I go to the live version of the page, it'll still show the words because I didn't republish it live. Does that make sense?
It does.
So there's a difference. Yeah. So saving it only saves it within your account. The second you publish it live, all of those new changes are going to go onto the live version of the page. So So like say you are updating the page and it's kind of like a week project for you and you change the top, but you're not done editing it and you don't want it to go live yet. All you do is save it and it won't go live. And then once you're ready for all those changes to go live, publish it again. All those changes will go live.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. What's up, Karina?
I was going to say too, we had one question real quick from Vivian I wanted to cover in the chat. She wanted to know, explain the way to choose where to drop something when it turns green from orange. So just while you're in the page builder, just showing the difference there.
Yeah. So when you're dragging and dropping something into the page builder, say like we wanted to drag and drop a button in, you'll always see like the drop here. So that's always where you want to be able to drag something in. You won't be able to just drag it unless it turns green. If it's orange, those are the different areas that you can drop something. And again, it's always before or after something that's already existing, right? So like you can see, we have our spiritual journey text. I can paste this, put it in before or after it. So say I wanted to add a button, maybe below the headline, just add the button there, and then edit it from there. So you do always have to have that sort of, you'll always see the placeholder. And if you're moving something around, you just hold it and drag it and you just move it into one of those other boxes, right? Just that easy to move things around. Yes, Karina.
Thanks, guys. So after I publish my landing page and I make it go live, my thank you page, you said that I connected on the success page.
You connected to your form success page. So yeah. So what you'll do, if you look at my screen here, you'll want to go to contacts, forms, and this is all done within your form itself. So go to find your form, hit the settings button on it, and you'll see a spot that says success page. So you'll see it's under settings, success page, and this is where you're linking your thank you page. So it's all within the form itself.
Do I publish my thank you page before I do that?
I don't believe it has to be published for you to select it, but you will want it published before launching, because if it's not published, people won't be able to visit it on the internet. It needs to be published to be able to be pulled up in like the URL.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, one thing I would note, if you, just to check, if you don't publish it and it's not showing up, then you probably do need to publish it for it to show up to select it. So don't freak out. It's probably there. Just go back and publish it. and then it should show up. But I think you should be able to without.
Yeah, I think it was updated recently because I noticed I was able to add page that I haven't published, which was something that, yeah, we couldn't do before. So
any other questions? I think we covered all the questions in the chat. We could go into the website, build like how to import site elements like headers, footers, so you can create a website. We can do a quick little like 5-10 minute tutorial on that, or
yeah,
to wrap it up.
Yeah, let's do that real quick because I think it's good to know. So like when it comes to building pages in Kartra, I mean websites in Kartra. Sorry, my allergies are full swing right now. You are basically, when it comes to making a website, you're basically combining multiple pages together, right? So you have like your home page, your about me page. Let's go to an example that I have here. We have like our consultant website, and you can see we have like an about page, a case studies page, a home page, a calendar booking page. And how this is forming a website with all of these individual pages is typically through a header and footer. So like if we go to the home page and edit that home page, the header is going to be the most important part because that allows people or anyone visiting your website to navigate through your website to all of the different pages that you have, right? So there are tons of header templates to choose from when you are in the page builder. So if you add a section, you see header menus, footers are all kind of in that first thing. So you can find one that looks good, choose it, and then you're just editing your header menu from there. So like say we are starting to build our website. This is our home page. I've built my home page. It all looks great. When I'm done, I'll go up to my header menu and I can see the home link, and I'll replace this link with the link to my page once it's published. So you can just go to home. Actually, I don't think you even need to publish it. You can just go to link to another page, and we'll say link to Kartra page, link to this home page, right? And hit apply. So anyone clicking on this button is going to be redirected to this page, which is my home page. Whereas if somebody clicks on my About Me button, they're going to be redirected to my About Me page, right? So that's kind of how you are setting up your website. Is you have your header with all of your different navigation points, whether that be, thinking about your website, which ones do you want in the top, and all of these can be edited so they don't have to say home about, you can customize them your way. And then you are just linking each of those pages to that header as you're building them. So as you build your home page, you'll make sure once it's done that you're linking your home page there. When you're building your about page, once your about page is done, make sure you're linking it there. And then as you build all of those new pages, you're able to import and export those global elements so that they are the same, consistent across all your pages, right? So if you go to sites and you have, say you're making a new page, you want to make sure that you're importing your headers and footers, right? All those global elements so that it's being added to your page with everything that you've done previously. Because if you just add a new template, you're going to have to go in and, edit that template again. So always import it. That way it'll pull what you've built before. And then say if you've made any changes to your header, so like say we completed this home page, I added the link to my header. Now I want to export. So I'll go to sites, export all of my, my header menu, my footer. That way, all of these changes are going to go to any pages that I previously built, as well as, updating the site things so that if I make a new page in the future and I import it, it'll always have it'll be most recent up-to-date version of that. Something else cool that you can do with these navigation things is create drop-down menus. So it doesn't have to just be, a home page with a home link. Maybe you have like a sub-menu that opens up when somebody clicks about, and you have like about me, about my business, about, that. You can set those up by going to slide down a sub-menu option within the link. And then you're able to set up your different sub-menu options. So you can say like, about me, about my services, right? And then you're able to edit the link for each of those sub-menu items. So thought that would be helpful for you guys to see basically how you create pages. It really just comes down to a header, building all of your individual pages and making sure that that header is linking to all of those pages so that if somebody visits one of those pages, they can easily navigate through your website to everything that you have. But alrighty, guys.
George, I have one more question before we sign off today. No,
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, with the, I'm actually looking to create a new site. Mine is 5 years old. Really had no idea. I just started with Kartra maybe a month ago. But the question for this one is, when you publish, if I did synchronize my domain with Kartra, would the page say my domain, or would it mention Kartra as well?
It would only be your domain. If you
Okay.
connect your domain to Kartra, it won't say Kartra. It'll only say
Okay.
www.yourwebsite.com. Now, if you are migrating your website over, something to note is that before you connect your domain, you will need to have a home page and a what we call a 404 error page. So like you'll see it here, or if I like edit this domain, the home page is essentially the page that somebody is going to if they just type in your domain. So if somebody types in www.gddemos.com, they're going to go to that page. So you'll want to have that page built. And then a 404 error page is the page somebody's going to if your website doesn't work for whatever reason. Just maybe like somebody's internet's down, or maybe your website's under maintenance. And easy way to build that, if you go to Plus page, tons of templates for 404 error pages. You can just go over here and hit 404 pages, and they're pretty easy to set up. They don't involve a lot.
Nice. I'm with Karina. If you ever do a training session with the website, will be great. The last question with that, can I like put my calendar in one of these websites?
Oh yeah. So you'll build your calendar
and also my product, the checkout stuff. I'm services. Oh yeah, okay.
All of those things that you've built in your Kartra account can be added to a page or a website. So I'll just show you real quick, just to finish things off here. Just kind of like how I showed you with the forms, that's how you're adding calendars to pages. So you can see here, like if you drag a form in, if you drag a calendar in, same deal. It'll just be a placeholder first, and then you replace it with the calendar that you have in your account. So say, I'll replace it with my fitness one, right? And it'll replace that with the actual calendar itself there.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, and when it comes to products, there's kind of two ways you can do it. The first way is if you are just selling one product, like on a page, you could do the checkout form option. So the checkout form, and you go to templates and you look at the checkout forms and you just put one of these in, and you can replace this placeholder with your actual product checkout form, right? And that way somebody can go in and purchase my product directly from my page. From there. If you have multiple products on one page, typically the checkout form doesn't look the best because it takes up a lot of space. So in that case, you'll just use buttons instead. So if you go to sections, I like the pricing tables option. You can find like a design that works best for you. Say like you have 3 products or something like that you're selling, right? And then you can edit them to, describe your product, things like that. And then you're just changing the button link to your product link. So you'll edit the buttons when you're done and link them to pop a product checkout. Where is it at? Form, video. Oh, yep. Pop or redirect to a product checkout. And then anyone clicking that button can purchase your product from there. So it's kind of the 2 ways to add the page.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
And everyone, great questions today. Like he mentioned earlier, you will get a recording, by this time tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that email so you can rewatch everything that you learned today. And then if you do have any questions after, kind of getting into your account, playing around with your pages, you can always reach out to our team, onboarding at Kartra.com, or just reply to that email with the replay and we will get that email as well. It's sent directly to our inbox. So yeah. Great.
Awesome. And our plans are to revamp these Learn Kartra Live soon. So you might see some more topics going on. We will make note of the website one. Since you guys are interested in learning about that, we can definitely put that into an upcoming rotation. So keep an eye out. But yeah, just stay tuned because we have a big plans for Learn Kartra Live in the future. We're going to do more use cases where we'll walk you through how to actually do something from beginning to end, whether that be create a lead magnet or sell something or create a website. We'll go in from there. So
Yeah.
thank you guys for all joining us here today. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Means a lot that you guys are able to engage and provide us questions. That's what we do this for. And hopefully we see you in the next one. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.